Hi, this is Carl Kruger from Accreditation looking at the ISO 17025 Laboratory Competence Standard. Clause 8, Management System Requirements. This clause wraps up the standard by ensuring that the laboratory has a structured management system for consistent performance. Clause 8.1 is the management system options. Laboratories can choose ISO-based or equivalent systems, and it must be clear which one is being used in any given situation. The consultant's approach will be to help design a compliant QMS tailored to laboratory operations, a QMS that relates to the ISO standards, or one that is more tailored to specific needs of particular clients. Clause 8.2 relates to the management system documentation. The policies and procedures must be documented so that everyone in the laboratory and all the customers who use the laboratory know how the tests will be carried out and the overarching standard of quality required. Consultant's approach will be to organize the documentation for ease of access and audit readiness so that the internal audits and the clients can assess how the tests have been carried out with ease and certainty. Clause 8.3 relates to the control of the management system documents. So documentation must be kept current and controlled. It must be up to date, in other words, and not allow all and sundry access to it and potentially change or lose it and thereby damage the records. The consultant's approach here is to set up a document control matrix, who can do what and at what level. So you could have review, you could have comment, and you can have change, for example, at 3 different levels, as well as a revision log, so detailing who has actively made changes or made suggestions and what has been done with them. Clause 8.4 relates to the control of records. Ensure a proper retention, backup, and disposal of records. So obviously retention to make sure you know where it is and it's correctly labeled and the right people have access to it. Backup to ensure that in the event of an emergency you still can reboot the whole thing and get it back from storage. And finally, disposal. Records are disposed of. There's no need to keep them forever unless the client so pays. But to do so, you must be clear. You can't just say, oh, well, that's it, delete, because it's still recorded somewhere in an IT system, especially if it's backed up somewhere. So active disposal is required, and in such a way that the wrong people who haven't paid or people for whom the information might be damaging, can't get access to it. The consultant's approach here is to create a record retention schedule, how long to keep stuff, and a storage plan, where it's kept, in what format, and when it should be disposed of, and how it should be disposed of. Then we have 8.5. This relates to the actions to address risks and opportunities. This is a way of proactively improving the system's performance. Consultant's approach here is to facilitate risk assessments and mitigation plans to be carried out periodically and checked up on in the internal audit process. 8.6 relates to improvement. The intention here is to seek continual improvement, like with all other ISO standards, in efficiency and quality. The consultant's approach here is to implement a continual improvement framework like PDCA, Plan, Do, Check, Act, which is a circular process, so that you keep doing it in such a way that by the time you've done the 5th iteration, you are considerably further forward and improved than when you were doing the first one. Then we have 8.7, corrective actions. The aim here is to identify and fix the root causes, not just the symptoms. The consultant's approach will be to train staff on structured CAPA processes. The point here is to ensure that the focus is on making it clear to everyone that while mistakes can happen, they should never happen more than once if it can possibly be helped. Then we have 8.8, internal audits. Regular audits ensure compliance and identify improvement areas. This is the benefit of an audit. It's not to catch people doing things wrong, but to catch them doing it right, or to identify what can be done to improve the whole process. The consultant's approach here is to establish an audit program with checklists and timelines. The checklists are to ensure that nothing gets missed. The timelines are to ensure it happens regularly. But ultimately, the benefit of the audit program is the results, not that there's a tick box. It's vital that people apply thought. Different people look at different things at different times on a rotating basis because different eyes see different problems. Finally, we have 8.9, the management review. Leadership must review the quality management system performance regularly. The point here is that the senior management must understand how the QMS works, must ensure that it still applies the way it was originally written or subsequently has been changed, and that they can see that people are undertaking it as it was originally written or updated. The consultant's approach will be to provide review agendas, metrics, and follow-up templates. This will help the senior management ensure they don't miss anything on the way. Thank you.